Hello, welcome to Sketch Club this beautiful Thursday evening. Tonight we're going to be doing a 20-minute sketch on the apple from our apple tree. We'll get sketching at 7 o'clock, but before we do that, I'd like to give a little introduction and show you about what I'll be doing tonight. Of course, you can always do your own thing. You don't have to follow along. There's no right way or wrong way. And we do encourage everybody to sketch. It's like learning a new language. Don't think about it, just pick it up and do it, and don't make a big deal out of it. And if you come back and do this often, before you know it, you'll have the hang of it. All right, so if you do pop in, please say hello in the comments, and if you're happy with the sketches you turn out tonight, we would love to see them, so share them if you can. Hello, Claudia. Welcome. You ready to sketch? Well, let's head over to the iPad and see what we're going to be doing tonight. So this is the reference image that I'm working from. I don't copy photos, but I design. So we're always looking for a good design. Hi, Susan, welcome. You ready to sketch? So Tom's here. All right, we got everybody going. Excellent. Cindy's here. Hey, babe. So the first thing you'll notice is I've divided the scene up into dark or shadows or just dark marks. And then we've added light marks. So we've divided it into light and shadow. And if you take away, you'll get something like this, a dark light pattern. But it's a little choppy and a little extreme. So if we just add a gray to connect some of that, then this scene will completely change. Okay, so that's our background. So a lot of what you'll see me do tonight is I'm going to develop the environment in which this thing is sitting, and then I'll adjust the measure of the shadows so that we make sure they're stronger and those come forward. How does that sound, everybody? Did everybody get that? So just light and shadow. Just shadow. So you might have a shadow pattern. This is rough and quick. It's not even what I have on my sketch, but to give you an idea, we've got it divided into dark shapes. And we added light shapes on top of that. And then the third element would be like a gray shape that would be between your light and your dark, as far as how light or dark it is. And that could be your tabletop and your background. And then of course we could go one step further down the road, and if we added a highlight on the edge, you can't see it very well here, but then that would be another step where we could develop the drawing. Okay, so that's what I'll be doing tonight. Again, you're welcome to do it however you see fit. So is everybody ready to sketch? Okay, like I said, if you're happy with what turns out, please share them in the comments. Even after, let us know if you've just spent 20 minutes on it or if you've worked longer on it. We'd love to see your work. For those of you in class, we'll have Friday feedback tomorrow morning at 9. So looking forward to that. All right, how's our clock doing? We're getting close to 7 o'clock. Everybody got everything they need to get going? A moment of silence. All right, let's head on over and see what happened. I got a thumbs up for that moment of silence. Not sure if that's a backhanded compliment or not. We'll see. So I've generally established my light-dark pattern. And obviously the dark's going to be darker, light's going to be lighter, and then we use the tone of the paper as a value. So the tone of the paper is my light, the dark is my shadow, and then I'm going to invent a gray here, or introduce a gray, for the sake of harmony, for harmony's sake. So 4 values is what we're working with here. And for those of you who are new or don't know, value is just how light or dark the mark is. Has nothing to do with color or anything else. Simply how light or dark. You can see I've used some white. That's the lightest thing. The natural tone of this paper is the next. And then what I'm doing right now, the gray would be the 3rd value. And then our shadows and our darks will be our 4th value. And how I like to work is to see how much I can kind of forget about the objects and focus on the light, gray, dark shapes. Because that's actually what's going to be interacting with the viewer. What the viewer actually sees. Right? They may call it an apple, right? Or leaves, a twig. A twig, what would that apple be? I hate to say a limb, but maybe. Just saying. Oh, it's okay, Susan. Susan said she was saying she was ready to go. All right, I can't see who said it, so you're okay. And trust me, it's okay to tell me to be quiet every now and then. Miss Christie, you do these. Good to see you. So we're doing Sketch Club every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights at 6:55 Pacific time. So that should be 8:55 your time. And then at 9 o'clock, we sketch for 20 minutes. Sunday is 5 minutes. Tuesday, 5 minutes. Tuesday is 2 10s. And then tonight's going to be 120. So, Christy's a very good friend from elementary school. Known her a very, very long time. Karen made it. Hey, Karen. Good to see you. Okay, it's hard to see the immediate effect of doing this graying, but as we review it, 8:55 your time. 8:55 your time. Well, am I getting that wrong? I thought you guys were 2 hours ahead of us. Yeah, so the chamois is a good tool. And then really learning, your light, dark patterns isn't that difficult. It does take a little work and everything, but the more difficult part of art is the measure. Yeah, 8:55. You got it now, 8:55. And what I mean by measure is how dark is that gray compared to how dark is the shadow. Okay, so are they really close together? Are they very far apart? And so those make what I like to call a visual note. Like a musical note is a note for the ears. The dark and the light and the gray patterns are notes for the eyes. So we're in the business of note making. Note making. Yeah, grab the boys, Christy. Grab Ryan. Encourage everybody to draw and sketch, just for fun. Just for fun. So, for those of you that were around at the beginning of the week for the Sketch Club, you saw Karen dancing. And how active and the gesture that has. And then an apple can have just as much gesture, right? Because it's just a dark mark across a canvas in a particular way, right? So more active would be more of a diagonal. And then to keep it from being industrial or mechanical versus organic, right? Organic nature, make sure we have those curves in there, right? That limb is not a straight line. It's not a ruler. It swells where the leaves are coming out, where it's lost some leaves. Maybe there was a little scarring. It swells again where it releases the apple, right? So there's, even in that twig, it shrinks and swells. So catching just a little bit of that character will go a long way. A long way. Right? I'm real big on, adding enough, but don't just keep adding things. Improve what you already have. Right? Let's just improve what's already there in the relationships we have. There's no need to put 7 peaches in there and two hams, a broccoli or 2. No, just an apple, a twig and some leaves. And then what does Rembrandt say? Without atmosphere, a painting's nothing. So don't forget the atmosphere. A little light, a little shadow, a little atmosphere, some movement. Man, we're in business. We're in business. How's everybody doing? We're not quite halfway through. Again, you don't need any special materials. Get a marker and junk mail, a pen and paper. I've been using charcoal as of late. But you don't have to use what I'm using. You don't even have to draw it like I'm drawing it. But be loose. Don't be too uptight about it. 20 minutes really isn't that long. So it's just a matter of moving your hand and making some marks. Just move your hands and making some marks. We don't want to be afraid. Don't want to be afraid. So look how the drama is added as that darkens. Do you see how much more dramatic that is? So if I was trying to get a quieter painting, maybe a Sunday morning in the fog or something, I wouldn't make it so dark. I'd keep those values closer together. But if I want some drama, if I want some pop, if I want to tell people, hey, look over here, man, I want some dark and I want some light. But again, make sure it's not not a fence post here we're building. Right? This is nature. Nature, nature, nature. And her organic ways. Right? Like I don't have to get exactly how thick it is on the one end, how thin it is. But it would be a mistake to make the other end thick and then the end where it's broken thin. Just simply trees don't grow that way. Right? But even within the laws of how things grow and move, there's plenty of room for design. For design and composition. Right? The best designs, by the way, look the most natural. Look most natural. So with the shadows, what I'm trying to do is as I move back into space, just with each leaf, go a little less, a little less, a little less. and in that way suggest the atmosphere that Rembrandt was talking about. One of the reasons I do like to work in charcoal, and you can do this in most mediums, is well, for one thing, it acts a lot like paint. And I'm always, as a painter, always thinking in terms of paint or in terms of masses. But I like to get that layer of light gray down and then go back inside with a little darker. And then again, those notes won't be so abrupt. All right, if you find your notes are a little abrupt, try to make what's around it a little bit closer or soften some edges. See how that works out. And of course, with the air, we want to try to make that lighter, wispier than the table, right? The table can have some solid on it. The table can have some solid on it. But air, I don't know that we want solids in the air. Who wants to be breathing that? Yeah. So make sure your air, there can be some haze in it, can be some moisture, can be some mystery, some spirit. But in all those cases, that's going to be lighter, wispier than the tabletop. And definitely lighter and wispier than any of our quote-unquote objects. Leaves, twigs, apples. So after you're comfortable, getting around, then ask yourself some more of these questions. Does that apple feel heavier than those leaves? Do those leaves feel heavier than the air behind it? All right. Ask yourself, how do I want the eye to move across the paper? The beautiful thing about drawing and painting is you're posing the problem and then you're proposing the solution to the problem. So after you figure that little bit out, that, hey, I'm the one setting up the problem, you give a little more thought into the problems you set up, right? And you try to solve those problems ahead of time, or at least have an idea. Right? And it's a matter of how we solve those problems or what we solve them for. And ultimately, again, you're just solving them for a light, dark pattern, or light, dark, gray pattern. Let the viewer do all the work of making it into an apple, right? They'll thank you for it. Right? Give them a chance to participate. So some of you guys that have been in class, the longer you work on these, are you beginning to see more and more and more abstractly? Or the longer you work on them, does it go more towards object, object, object? I'd be curious to know that tomorrow. You know, that was something I really struggled with for a long time, was holding on to that abstract idea the entire time. Right, it's just so easy to slip back into drawing objects and forgetting about the painting and the composition overall. So the bottom of that could probably be rounded out a little bit. Got that a little bit flat. But hindsight's 20/20, as they say. How's everybody doing? So we got a little over 5 minutes on this one still, so you've got some time. But look at your drawing right now, and do you have a strong image? And then try to figure out why or why not. Right? Do you have your darks in, or is there a clear dark pattern? Do you have more than one dark, or is your dark completely connected? Right? What about your light and your grays? Try to look in those terms and see if you can solve the problem. See if you can make it a little more impactful. A little more lyrical, a little more poetic. Whatever it is that you're after. Right? What's it going to take in terms of marks to make that? Right, can we go back in these last few minutes and emphasize a couple of key spots? Right? We call emphasize, that means more in some places and not even everywhere. Right, does that bring that forward a little bit? I kind of hope so. I actually did a little painting, a little color study, 5x7 painting of this yesterday. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Right, make sure all those leaves come out. They're not coming out at equidistance apart, right? There's a nice rhythm or variety to those. Because if we don't consciously think about that, again, we end up putting in fence posts. Nature's much more interesting than fence posts. So here what I'm doing is just almost adding a little texture, trying to soften the transition from light to dark in there with the eraser, and now I'll do the same thing with the stump a little bit. So again, I'm not really adding much, I'm just refining what's there. Adding little things, taking some things out. Hi, Sue. Well, Sue likes it. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. How's your hubby doing? Is he still in recovery mode? Just making sure there's a little openness there in the back, so not to lock all this up. And then here again, I'm messing with that measure. That measure, right? A little bit of dark around that, or air. It's not dark, it's gray. It's darker than what's there. We'll help that come forward a little bit. So I don't work in a way that's one and done, but I keep going back, and there's a lot of freedom in that. A lot of freedom and a lot of time to adjust. To adjust to this, to the situation on the ground. What's working and what's not working. Right, and that's that trying to open up again there so we can get in and out of that apple. It's not too locked up. And then a soft edge between our light and our shadow. Again, if we want that to be air, you know, think about what air looks like. It's not going to have a lot of hard edges or drastic value changes, at least a lot of them. It might go from light to shadow or something. Okay, well, that's our time. That's our time. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to take myself and that away, and then let's watch this before and after. So we finish there. Do you see the difference? It's a lot harsher without that gray. Can you see that? How the dark notes and the light darks, there's more of a rise and a fall rather than an absolute start and a stop. There's some starts and stops. But here, can you feel that? It almost feels a little staccato, a little What we want to do is just make that ride a little bit smoother. Better suspension. All right? Like an old Lincoln or something bouncing down the highway. Just floating on down, floating on by. Okay, guys. I hope you had fun tonight and this week. We'll be back with Sketch Club Sunday night, 6:55 Pacific Standard Time. And then it'll be Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. 5 minutes Sunday, 10 minutes Tuesday, 20 minutes Sunday. For each Sketch Club's 20 minutes with a 5-minute introduction. So thank you so much, Susan. And guys, if you get something, please stick them in the comments here. I get to see your beautiful work all the time, but it'd be nice to show the rest of the world. For those of you in class, we'll talk to you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. for Friday feedback. Until then, I'll see you guys later. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.